You're eating fruit every day, thinking you're doing something amazing for your health, your hair, your growth. But what if I told you that same healthy habit might actually be blocking one of the most important minerals your body needs, zinc? And that could quietly affect your hair growth, testosterone, immune system, even how fast your body repairs itself. Let's break this down in a simple way. Zinc is one of those minerals your body absolutely depends on. It's involved in over 300 different processes. We're talking about hormone production, wound healing, metabolism, and especially hair growth. Now here's the problem. A lot of people switch to a fruit-heavy diet thinking it's clean, natural, and detoxifying. And yes, fruits do contain vitamins, antioxidants, and fiber. But they also contain something that most people completely overlook: natural compounds that can interfere with mineral absorption. One of the biggest issues is something called phytic acid and high sugar load. Let me explain. When you consume large amounts of fruit, especially sweet fruits like bananas, mangoes, grapes, you're getting a high dose of natural sugar, mainly fructose. Excess fructose can disrupt your gut environment and reduce the efficiency of mineral absorption, including zinc. At the same time, if your diet is mostly fruits and low in zinc-rich foods like red meat, eggs, or shellfish, you're not only getting less zinc, you're also absorbing less of what little you have. That's a double problem. Now here's where it gets serious. Low zinc levels can show up in ways you might not immediately connect. Hair thinning, slow beard growth, weak immune response, low energy, even reduced testosterone levels in men. And if you're trying to improve your health, grow your hair, or build your body, this becomes a hidden roadblock. Another thing most people don't realize is that zinc and copper need to be balanced. When your diet is off, especially high in plant-based foods, without proper balance, you can throw off this ratio. That can further impact your overall health. So what should you do? First, don't panic. Fruit is not the enemy. The key is balance. Instead of making fruit the foundation of your diet, use it as a small part of a more complete plan. Focus on adding zinc-rich foods. Things like beef, lamb, pumpkin seeds, eggs, and seafood. These are much more bioavailable sources of zinc, meaning your body can actually use them. Also, don't overdo the fruit. Keep it moderate, especially if you're dealing with hair loss, fatigue, or slow recovery. And finally, pay attention to your body. If you're eating healthy but not seeing results, there's usually something deeper going on. Sometimes it's not what you're eating, it's what your body can't absorb. That's the real game changer. When you consume a large amount of fruit, especially on a daily basis and in multiple servings, your body is exposed to a high intake of natural sugars, primarily fructose. While fructose is often considered healthier than refined sugar, the body processes it in a very specific way that can create hidden problems when consumed in excess. Unlike glucose, which can be used by nearly every cell in your body, fructose is primarily metabolized in the liver. When the intake is moderate, this process works fine. But when fruit becomes a major part of your diet, the liver can become overwhelmed, and this begins to affect other systems, including how your body handles minerals like zinc. As fructose intake increases, it can contribute to changes in insulin sensitivity and create subtle imbalances in blood sugar regulation. Even though fruit doesn't always spike blood sugar in the same way as processed sugar, the cumulative effect of high fructose consumption can still stress your metabolic system. This stress can indirectly affect the gut, where most mineral absorption takes place. When the gut environment is not functioning optimally, the absorption of key nutrients, including zinc, becomes less efficient. Another important factor is how fructose interacts with the digestive system. High amounts of fructose can lead to digestive discomfort in many people, even if they don't immediately recognize it. Bloating, gas, and mild inflammation in the intestines can occur when fructose is not fully absorbed in the small intestine and instead passes into the large intestine where it ferments. This fermentation process can disrupt the balance of gut bacteria, which plays a critical role in nutrient absorption. A disrupted gut microbiome can reduce the body's ability to properly extract and utilize minerals like zinc from the foods you eat. At the same time, when someone follows a fruit-heavy diet, they often reduce their intake of other foods that are richer in essential minerals. This creates a situation where zinc intake is already lower than optimal. When you combine lower intake with reduced absorption efficiency, it becomes much easier for the body to slip into a deficiency state over time. This doesn't usually happen overnight, which is why many people don't connect their symptoms to their diet. It's a gradual process that slowly affects different functions in the body. There is also the issue of mineral competition within the digestive system. Minerals like zinc, iron, and calcium can compete with each other for absorption pathways. When the digestive system is under stress from high sugar intake or an imbalanced diet, this competition becomes more pronounced. Zinc being a trace mineral is particularly sensitive to these conditions. Even if small amounts are present in the diet, the body may not absorb enough to meet its needs. Additionally, certain fruits contain compounds that can bind to minerals and make them less available for absorption. While fruits are generally lower in these compounds compared to grains and legumes, consuming them in very high amounts can still contribute to the overall load. When combined with other plant-based foods that may also contain these binding compounds, the effect becomes more significant. This means that even if zinc is present in your diet, it may pass through your system without being fully utilized. Over time, these factors begin to impact the body in subtle ways. Zinc is essential for enzyme function, and without adequate levels, many biochemical reactions start to slow down. This can affect everything from protein synthesis to immune response. Since zinc is also crucial for cell growth and repair, any reduction in its availability can influence how efficiently your body regenerates tissues, including skin and hair. The hormonal system is another area that can be affected. Zinc plays a key role in maintaining healthy testosterone levels and supporting endocrine function. When zinc absorption is compromised, it can contribute to hormonal imbalances that may show up as reduced energy, slower muscle recovery, or changes in physical performance. These effects are often gradual and may be mistaken for other issues, making it harder to identify the root cause. The immune system also depends heavily on zinc to function properly. White blood cells require zinc to develop and respond effectively to infections. When zinc levels are not optimal, the immune response can become weaker, making the body more susceptible to illness or slower to recover. This is especially important for individuals who believe they are supporting their immune system through a high intake of fruits, not realizing that the imbalance in their diet could be working against them. Another layer to consider is how consistent high fructose intake can influence in the body. While fruit contains antioxidants that can help reduce oxidative stress, excessive intake can have the opposite effect due to metabolic strain. Chronic low-grade inflammation can further impair nutrient absorption and disrupt normal cellular function. This creates a cycle where the body becomes less efficient at utilizing the nutrients it receives, including zinc. In practical terms, the issue is not that fruit is harmful on its own, but that overconsumption without balance can create a nutritional gap. The body requires a wide range of nutrients in specific proportions, and when one type of food dominates the diet, it can crowd out other essential sources. This imbalance becomes more noticeable over time as the body's reserves of certain nutrients begin to decline. The key point is that high fructose intake from excessive fruit consumption can interfere with the body's ability to absorb and utilize zinc effectively. This happens through multiple mechanisms, including gut disruption, metabolic stress, reduced intake of zinc-rich foods, and competition between nutrients. These factors work together in a way that gradually limits the availability of zinc, even in individuals who believe they are following a healthy diet. When zinc intake is low and absorption is not efficient, the body gradually moves toward a deficiency state that can affect multiple systems at once. This situation often develops in diets that lack sufficient zinc-rich foods, while also including factors that interfere with mineral absorption. Zinc must be obtained regularly through food, and because the body does not store large reserves, even a small, but consistent shortfall can lead to noticeable changes over time. One of the main reasons zinc intake becomes low is the absence of foods that naturally contain high amounts of this mineral. Animal-based sources, such as red meat, eggs, and seafood, provide zinc in a form that is easy for the body to absorb. When these foods are limited or replaced with options that contain minimal zinc, the total intake drops significantly. Even though some plant foods contain zinc, the amount is often lower and less bioavailable, meaning the body cannot use it as effectively. At the same time, absorption plays an equally important role. The digestive system must break down food and transport nutrients across the intestinal lining into the bloodstream. If this process is compromised, even a diet that includes some zinc may not provide enough usable amounts. Factors such as gut irritation, imbalanced bacteria, or high intake of certain compounds found in plant-based foods can interfere with this process. These compounds can bind to zinc and prevent it from being absorbed, causing it to pass through the body unused. This creates a dual problem. On one side, the body is receiving less zinc than it needs. On the other side, it is also losing part of what it does consume due to poor absorption. Over time, this imbalance reduces the availability of zinc for essential biological functions. Because zinc is involved in enzyme activity, even a mild deficiency can slow down many processes that rely on these enzymes to function efficiently. The body depends on zinc for maintaining proper cellular activity. It supports DNA synthesis, protein production, and cell division, all of which are necessary for growth and repair. When zinc levels are not sufficient, these processes begin to lose efficiency. This may not cause immediate symptoms, but it gradually reduces the body's ability to maintain and rebuild tissues. Small signs like slower recovery from physical exertion or minor injuries can begin to appear. Another important aspect is how zinc interacts with other nutrients. Minerals often share absorption pathways, and when the balance is disrupted, competition can occur. Zinc is particularly sensitive to this competition, especially when the digestive system is already under stress. This means that even if other nutrients are present in adequate amounts, zinc may still fall short because it is not being absorbed effectively. Over time, this pattern leads to a steady decline in zinc status. The body continues to function, but not at its optimal level. Because the symptoms are subtle and develop slowly, they are often overlooked or attributed to other causes. This makes it more difficult to identify the underlying issue, allowing the deficiency to persist and gradually impact overall health and performance. When zinc levels drop in the body, the effects often show up in areas that depend on rapid cell turnover and strong metabolic activity, which is why hair growth is one of the first things to be affected. Hair follicles are highly active structures that require a constant supply of nutrients to maintain normal growth cycles. Zinc plays a key role in protein synthesis and cell division, both of which are essential for producing strong, healthy hair strands. When zinc becomes limited, the hair growth cycle can weaken, leading to increased shedding, slower regrowth, and thinner hair over time. This impact is not always immediate. It tends to develop gradually as zinc levels decline. At first, you might notice more hair on your pillow or in the shower, but not think much of it. Over time, the density and thickness of your hair may decrease, and the rate at which new hair grows can slow down. Zinc is also involved in maintaining the oil glands around hair follicles, so low levels can contribute to dryness of the scalp, which further affects the health of the hair. Hormones are another major area influenced by zinc. This mineral is essential for the production and regulation of testosterone, a hormone that plays a role in muscle development, energy levels, mood, and overall vitality. When zinc levels are insufficient, testosterone production can decline, which may lead to reduced strength, lower motivation, and changes in physical performance. This is especially noticeable in individuals who are trying to improve their fitness or maintain an active lifestyle. Zinc also helps regulate enzymes that convert hormones into their active forms. Without enough zinc, this conversion process becomes less efficient, which can create imbalances even if the body is producing hormones. These imbalances can affect metabolism, recovery, and how the body responds to stress. In some cases, it can also influence appetite and body composition, making it harder to maintain or build lean muscle. The immune system relies heavily on zinc to function properly. Zinc supports the development and activation of white blood cells, which are responsible for identifying and attacking harmful pathogens. When zinc levels are low, these immune cells do not perform as effectively. This can lead to a weaker response to infections, making the body more vulnerable to common illnesses. It may also result in longer recovery times as the immune system lacks the resources it needs to respond quickly and efficiently. In addition to fighting infections, zinc plays a role in controlling inflammation in the body. It helps regulate inflammatory responses so that they remain balanced. Without enough zinc, inflammation can become more difficult to control, which may contribute to ongoing low-level stress within the body. This can affect overall health and make it harder for the body to maintain stability across different systems. Because zinc is involved in so many processes, its deficiency doesn't usually present as a single clear symptom. Instead, it creates a pattern of subtle issues that build over time, affecting hair, hormones, and immunity all at once. These systems are interconnected, so when zinc is lacking, the effects tend to overlap, making it more challenging for the body to function at its full capacity.